Okay, everybody out there, welcome to Still a Great Joke. My name is Alex Fetter, and today I am here with rock sensation LP. Say, say hello, LP.
Hey, what's up?
How's your day going? I thank you for being on my podcast. I know you said you were feeling a little bit tired today, so I know that
I woke up weird feeling. I feel fine, but I'm just like there's nothing wrong. There's no like sniffles or anything. I just feel like weird and just weird. But
did
I'm
you
good.
sleep okay?
Not really. I'm like, I think I'm just bored of sleeping. Sleeping boring now.
Yeah. I know what you mean, man. Yeah. Well, like a classic homeopathic treatment for just kind of being run down is to be on your friend's startup podcast. So this this will be really
Exactly.
helpful for you.
That's amazing. I like
So you released the one that you love pretty recently. Do you want to chat for a minute for all the listeners out there and tell
Of
folks about
course.
that?
Let's do it. What do you want to talk about?
How did it come to be? How are you feeling about
Oh
it so far?
gosh.
You played it live for the first
I
time,
feel really
live
good.
stream?
I feel really good about it. I feel like I feel like it was good. It's a good song to release first. I feel like it's not necessarily showing you all the things that are going to be on this record, but it's definitely showing you an opening to the rest of the record. I like when a song like kind of just like opens you up to like what could be next and just just something to arouse the senses, as they say.
Nice.
But it's doing really good, and I think it's like a I think I wouldn't say it's a return to form, but it does have some elements of Lost on You in it. I think in ways, and there's no way to like really try to do that. It was just like one of those. We didn't try not to do that. I feel like I really tried not to do that in the last record.
Yeah. And you started writing it in Cabo. I was there like a day and a half
Did
later or something.
yeah. That was I thought it was the third song that popped out, but it's in fact the second song that popped out that day, that trip. And yeah, I remember the first one. That's gonna be on the record too, and I can't really say the name of it yet, but but it's really cool, and it felt that was a great way to start, and I think we just like kind of opened the floodgates with that one, and you know it's um it's I kind of I don't worry about songs much anymore, or writing songs anymore. I just like kind of I really just like let it fly, and that was like it felt like that. I mean, you've written with me now. We have a song on the next record.
I know, I'm
Um,
very excited. I'm very excited. But when you say you don't worry about it anymore, does that mean that in the past it was like you were trying to do a specific thing, or what's
well,
different
I
now?
think yeah, I will. What in the past I feel like I really not had to worry about, but like you were always kind of like and again, not for a few records, but like, does this sound like me? Is this the thing? Is this like kind of in the wheelhouse of what I'm going for? That's why I actually kind of think, now I'm like kind of the genre lines have got very blurred with me because I somehow got through blurring the lines, and now I just keep blurring them further. That's how I feel. And I don't feel beholden to any genre. Okay.
When you get together with Mike Del Rio is LP's producer for this record and the previous record. When you guys get together and write, is there ever a time that you write that something comes out that you feel like, because I agree it's sort of like pan genre or like
Yeah.
it spans a wide breadth. Do you write something now? Have you guys written something where you feel like I love this song, but it's not a me song? It's like that's a song that I would pitch, which is something you used to do but do much less now.
When we write for me, it's definitely for me. Like we recently wrote with Adam Lambert, and I feel like I don't know what's going to happen with that song. It's possibly going to be a duet, not to like let any cat out of bag. I don't know, but or Adam might do it. I don't know, but I definitely didn't feel like that was a song was going to be mine. I think at this place now, I can write specifically for things that aren't me.
But when you write for you, like when you go in there for you, you come out with you.
Hmm. Yeah, it feels like it. It sometimes I think might not be a song that makes the record or whatever. Like I feel like now I'm more apt to make a song that is me, could be me, but that I won't necessarily choose because I think I might have better songs for me. It doesn't mean it's a totally better song or it's a better song for me, and I just like leave it in my kind of catalog for someone else
Hmm.
or to pitch. But I think you know, uh, I would say the majority of my songs that get picked from the people were written for me. So I guess I just kind of always write for me. But I've written for specifically other people too, like Rihanna's song I wrote for Rihanna.
Hmm.
And I never, ever thought about, oh, what a bummer that I did that song. I wish I could do this. People always ask,
They ask you
you
if
would
you
do it.
wish you had used that one or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they'll ask me about any song that like someone else did like, do I secretly wish that I was able to take it or took it. And I'm like, yeah, no. No.
What what's interesting about doing a podcast that I've learned that I always shit on guys like Jimmy Fallon or whatever because I think he's not a good, I mean, sorry if this podcast blows up and Jimmy Fallon hears this, I apologize. But I'm always like I always really like host, but I've learned that hosting is hosting is hard. Hosting's not easy. I like
Yeah.
default into like, so where do you get your ideas from? Um, but I've been with you, I recall specifically, and I don't remember who was interviewing you, but it wasn't, we were in Bulgaria, we were sitting at a cafe.
Yeah.
It was me, you, Didier, and Talaya. I just recall specifically that I spilled like olive oil on my pants, and Didier felt very confident that if I just poured vodka all over my pants, that would get the stain out. But as all this was going on, I was just watching your face, just like you were doing some interview, and whatever it was they were asking you was just like not sitting right. And you're just sitting there like, I want this shit to end so bad. Is there like a line of questioning typically that you're just like, what is going on here that you just like
um,
never want to go down? Is it personal stuff or is it just,
you
is it the
know,
sort of like, yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's stuff along the line of like I'm trying to think what kind of makes me irks me or I don't know. It's like a thing where I go I if they ask me about how I am as an artist. Sorry, we got one friendly. Um, you know, I think if they ask me like to really unravel, the reason why I'm an artist or something like that, like, and it's just, just those questions that are like, I feel like I fear are long-winded or aren't going to be, um, particularly interesting when I give them back, you know what I mean? Or it's just like, or they're just like, kind of an obtuse question. There are those too, I just don't feel like, it's anything like, exciting. I don't know. I'm. This is really, you know, really interesting content right there. Sorry about that, but I don't really know. I don't know what it was. I just think it's like sometimes like I can feel now like when someone's like not doesn't know what the hell they're doing question wise, like they're not particularly like versed in what to how to make a good interview. I don't know. And then there's people that are insane at it.
Yeah, it's
So
a
I don't know.
gift.
I had that question. That we have this joke. That well, Talaya, because she gets to see a lot of my interviews, but like the joke of like that almost the most asked question I ever get. It's in almost like 90% of my interviews. It's just like, what's the difference between writing for you and writing for other people? Like every single time, and so that's funny. I mean, it's a good question, but it's like I feel like I
That's
answer
almost the
different.
question that I just asked you. That's perfect. I'm glad that I'm fitting right in,
There you go.
right
Exactly.
down the
You are
lane.
no different. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Fuck. I'm gonna go back to podcast school after this.
You better go back to your day job of being a world-renowned guitarist.
It's less fun. It's less fun. Believe me. Just wait till the jokes start. You'll really see this is my natural gift. I'm in my comfort zone.
Again, select your.
Um, Thank you. Oh yeah, you guys can't see. I'm wearing a Girls Go Wild shirt, which is an LP shirt. Although the
Yeah.
thought did occur to me recently that I was like, what if I'm walking down the street and especially in especially woke times, people thought that I am supporting Girls Gone Wild, and I get like
Yeah.
accosted as a straight white male,
Hmm.
for something that essentially like objectifies and takes advantage of drunk teenage women. You know,
I mean, you just look at them and say "ne,"
yeah.
which
I mean,
which we know in Greeks, but it is no "ne" on there. So "ne."
Nez in Greek.
I don't know if it's spelled that way, but they say "ne, ne, ne."
Ne-
So,
That'll be me passing them off.
so
And so promo coming up, and this year turned out obviously exactly as you planned, right?
yeah, yeah, man. What a wild thing.
This was like the grand version of, because last year, obviously, the start of the tour was a big shebang where you got sick and we canceled
Oh
two
wow.
weeks of shows so you could recover. And then the year before that, when we had that Italy tour or a European tour, was when, remember, we were in the airport for like 30 hours or something and the flight
Oh
got
wow.
canceled and it was a whole. So I always feel like it's always a little. Oh, and I don't know if the world would know this, but so LP got sick, we canceled a bunch of shows, and then the day you were going to come back, we were supposed to play in Montana, Missoula, Montana, and we are
Mm.
en route after 2 weeks of canceled shows. Like, we're gonna do it, we're finally playing. And then our bus broke down at 3 in the morning, and we ended up having to cancel, I think, two more shows after that. So it's always like a rocky
Sorry.
start.
I was so lucky though, because truth be told, I was not ready. Like I was going to be like kind of taking a chance with my voice. Like the worst thing you could do is sing when you're sick, like
Hmm.
on vocal cords that are not ready.
Yeah,
And I was like, you have to be like, and you're the only person who can make that call.
right.
And how I mean, my managers know, like I never fake or talk about being sick when I'm not sick. Either I'm sick or I'm not sick.
Yeah.
When
Canceling
I,
those shows was as surprising to me as this year being canceled because of coronavirus. Like I was like, if you had asked me about a list of possibilities that I would have thought would happen, you getting
yeah,
sick because you're just like a tank. It just doesn't happen. You just do your thing. You never get
dude,
sick. You sing every night.
yeah, I went for it. I was like, holy, like I knew, I felt like something was coming. It's amazing, baby. And I just and I was fine literally up until sound check. Like it was very interesting because it's cool. Like this career has been such a journey for me in so many ways, and I even when I got sick last year, I remember being on stage and being very aware that like even 5 years before that, 5 or 10 years before that, if I had lost my voice the way I did on stage in front of like a couple of thousand people, I would have lost my shit. I don't know what I would have done. I don't think I would have handled it very graciously. Like, and I was able to with this one. I just was like, by the end, everybody was just singing with me, and it was really special. But man, it's just like I really kind of was surprised that I didn't like kind of lose it, because that's like the nightmare of nightmares. It's just losing your voice on stage. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was as an observer who's obviously used to watching you do your thing every night. Did you ever see, I want to say this movie came out in like 1998. It was the Superman movie, um, directed by what's his name, who did The Usual Suspects, Bryan Singer, with Brendan Ruth as Superman. And Kevin Spacey was it? Wow, there's a lot of people in this movie that you like can't even talk about anymore. Kevin Spacey and Bryan
Yeah,
Singer. Um,
yeah.
but there's a part in that movie which was not good, and I'm not endorsing for anybody to watch, even separate from the crimes of these two gentlemen. Just wasn't a good movie. But where Superman is like, he's like on a kryptonite meteorite or something, and he has no powers, and he's getting the shit kicked out of him by the guy who plays Kumar in Harold and Kumar's Trip to White Castle or whatever. And you're watching, and you're just like, it just felt like that's basically the point, is watching Superman get the shit kicked out of him, and you're like, but that's not Superman, was basically what it was like watching this show progress. And it's just like you're skipping high notes and you're changing melodies and you're singing stuff an octave down, and it was like, but this isn't what it's like.
Woo! I know, man. Wowie, wow. And then that wasn't all. Like, but then I just sat in a hotel room, kind of hoping that I'd feel better the next day. And I remember, like, I didn't go home. We stayed out, and um, hoping to get back to the shows as soon as possible. And I remember trying to warm up my voice and doing my whole warm up, and then trying to sing my songs, and it was like like trying to put a tank on toothpicks. You know what I mean? It just was like every time I tried to support like a big sound, a big fat sound, it just was like completely unable to support it. It was wild. It was humbling, and I mean, it's good. That's why you gotta like it's just, it's I could liken it to this year where you know all of a sudden you're home for an entire year instead of out on tour for an entire year. Careful, don't ever be like, and I know enough not to ever be like, wow, it's too much, it's too crazy. I need some time off or whatever. I don't really ever feel like that, but here you go. I'm sure some people have. So they needed some time off and been like, not like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you tore hard. I mean, or rather, in my experience, like it went from. I mean, I was gonna give up my apartment this year. I was just gonna be basically
Mhm.
a home. I was gonna live in a peripatetic lifestyle with no home and just like do the thing because we were just gonna be gone.
Yeah.
The nice thing was, in my observation at least, was it was like immediately like, all right, let's hop into the studio, let's do other stuff.
Yeah.
Did it
Totally.
feel like emotionally crippling, or it was just like, nah, man, we're
No,
just adjusting and going for it?
not at all. Like, I'm happy to say that, like, I somehow, not somehow, but, I mean, so many people so much worse off than us, I think. It's been like, when you don't even open the news and forget about it. You just feel like, God, but I feel like I just kind of switched gears, went to the creative side instead of, worrying about it. It was really wild. Did you see what I posted today with that of the soccer game?
I didn't. Oh, yes, soccer game with like TV faces as a crowd.
Yeah, like is that like Zoom? I guess like I'm assuming what people buy to see sports, and if they were showing them. Yeah,
Yeah, first of all, my mind, don't you just feel like, do you remember there was that thing called chat roulette that they had like a while back? It was just like you sign on and it was just like every fourth one was just some dude showing his dick. Don't you feel like people are gonna take advantage of that like crazy, just the chance to be an asshole?
oh
That would
man,
be,
I don't know. Yeah, I guess. I guess it could be, like dare the fine. I don't know. I'm like I'm surprised. I don't know. Like I posted it because I didn't feel like asking anyone this morning, and I just did it blind. But I think that it's pretty. I think it was chilling. Let's just say that.
my friend sent me a link to, I think they had some sort of socially distanced, like full on outdoor concert in maybe the
Yeah,
UK where you're like in like
yeah,
little
yeah,
boxes that are gated off.
yeah. I think it was Nottingham or some shit.
You ever been to
I don't
Nottingham?
know. I don't think I have. No, it was on BBC, and it's let's see, Nottingham. I bet you it was. Um,
I was one time in Nottingham and I was at like a rock bar after the show and out with my
yeah.
bandmates and I had only heard the song Common People by Pulp one time in my life up until that point, and then
Oh, sorry, it
it
was New
was it was
Nottingham.
Newcastle. Oh, then my story is completely shot. But the moral of the story is if you're ever in a bar in Nottingham and Common People by Pulp comes on, you're like, it really just became the most magical song in the world in that moment. Everyone's drunk and jumping up and down. It was very, but I don't, I can't speak to Newcastle. Who knows if they like Pulp there?
We don't know. I mean, I just Nottingham just brings up Robin Hood to me, and Newcastle brings up Nookie Brown, the
What,
beer
what's Nuki Brown?
ale. Newcastle Brown Ale. I think it's like people
Uh,
call it brown. But yeah, man, I think I'm starting to get a little not antsy, but I don't know. I'm a little like because like you have to be careful. I almost feel like we're back to the beginning right now. Do you feel like that at all? Like I feel like in the beginning you had no one to ask, like, and you were kind of like, what's going to happen, and no one knew. And I feel like it stayed like that, but everybody was just like, oh, we're getting through it. You know what I mean? Like in March, like May seemed so far away.
Yeah.
And then, and I mean, forget about August where we are now. That seemed ridiculous. And then, but now it's just like, I still like, I feel like people are kind of like, touring won't get back till next spring or summer, which I mean, I know, but it's still, will it be that? But
It's I listen, I would love it if it came back next spring. I feel like, especially now that they're kind of figuring out shows and God willing, like numbers will stay down of new corona cases. My suspicion is that there'll definitely be shows, like shows, promo, one-off shows, whatever. I just like have difficulty imagining what people don't realize who don't tour, they think about the audience side of things. They think, oh, well, what does the audience have to do? They're going to be in a pod and they have to wear masks or whatever. But what they don't think about is that our touring operation is 12, if not more people in a bus together, traveling from city to city, country to country together. We're like a walking super exploder corona thing, you know what I mean?
oh god,
And then everyone who works at the venue, there's catering, there's people who work at the bars, like
yeah,
controlling all of that. I mean, listen, thank God there are people out there way smarter than I am who have to figure this out, and my job is just to tell awesome jokes and play the guitar. But
yeah,
yeah, I just don't see, it just seems crazy to think that we would be in full on tour, but God, I hope so because I really miss it.
yeah. Right.
Would you like to have you settled on a joke yet? Don't tell it yet because
Uh,
I have to sing my theme song for you first.
yeah, man. I mean, I have a couple of little jokes.
That's great. But wait. All right. Everybody, now's the time of the show when I sing the theme song to the podcast, Still a Great Joke. And I'm going to let you all in on a little behind the scenes, which is that I didn't travel with a microphone setup. So if this sounds totally busted, then I am performing the song for LP, but I'm going to pipe in a pre-recorded version. But I'm not cheating. I am singing the theme song to LP right now. Here goes. Well, life is one long tragedy, so won't you laugh with me? Still a great joke with Alex Vedder.
Yeehaw! That
That was it.
is still a joke song.
So now tell me a joke. It can be short. I have had people recently guests petitioning to tell more than one joke if it's a short joke, but it's really up to you. I like to be loosey-goosey about this and whatever the guest is comfortable with.
I think I'm just gonna do like three little one-liners.
Yes, hit me with it. And just a reminder, leave space because I'm going to insert a ba-doom psh after every single one of your jokes.
All right, here we go. I told my wife she was drawing her eyebrows too high. She looked surprised. Yeah.
Joke one.
Joke one. Joke two. I threw a boomerang a few years ago, and now I live in constant fear. Uh, and the last one. My wife accused me of being immature. I told her to get out of my fort. Yeah.
My first guest that I had on was a comedian, and he was like, I find this to be a really difficult format to tell a joke to one person. And I was like, I'm all about really challenging the norm. So you did a great job. Three jokes. Where did you find those jokes from?
I just hit the internet, boo. I just went on Google and said, "Give me some jokes." Well,
Yeah.
I
And
got
that
I got a podcast.
okay. Yeah. Well, good
You
job,
know what's funny?
internet.
Like that I think is so funny. I can't believe how funny it is. And then I tell it a bunch of times and people will be like, "Oh my god, that's amazing." And I'm like, that's gonna be the lifetime one, and then I forget it. It's wild. It's happened to me like 4 or 5 times that I have had a joke that I just thought was like just the best joke ever. And then I just absolutely forget it.
Well, next time when you come back around for season three or whatever of Still a Great Joke, you'll hang on to it. There was a period of time where it was the same. I knew one joke, which I have yet to tell a podcast guest, but I am going to tell at some point in the future. I had one joke, and yeah, I don't know, same thing. I also have never chosen. Do you ever do karaoke? I mean, Jesus, you would crush at karaoke, but I don't have a karaoke song.
I, well, yeah. If I really, I'll do like Barracuda, and people like kind of
Lose their
go to
shit?
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's one of my favorites, but I usually choose not to do karaoke most of the time.
That makes sense. Yeah. It's a rarity that I do it. It reminds me in some ways also of if you're like at a party and your friend's got an acoustic guitar and they're like, Alex, play the guitar. And it's like,
Yeah,
it just turns different once you do that with your life. It's just like, you just can't, it just feels so lame.
yeah, and then like I don't know, it's always like you always regret it because you do it, and then like if it's really great, people like they don't know how to act because they're like, yikes, the person's amazing. It's like, yeah, well, professional, you know what I mean? Like, or it's like, or you do a shitty job because you're drunk. And I'm not speaking from experience here, but or you do a shitty job because you're drunk, and they're like, huh, how the hell is this person like succeeding?
Uh-huh.
Anyway, lose lose all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do it often. When I used to do it sometimes, do you know that song, you ever see Les Mis or the movie Les Mis or the musical or
Yeah,
anything? You know
yeah.
that song that Anne Hathaway sang or whatever?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I dreamed a dream that life could be. That's usually like if I can kind of get into that one, then it's a hit because no one sees it coming. But that's kind of as good as
That
I've got.
Yeah, like it's like you might as well bust into like, "Hi, I'm a hero, Salon called lady."
But that would be a hit. No one would see it coming.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Everyone's expecting In the Air Tonight or whatever, you know? They're never gonna expect whatever I'm gonna pull out or you're
We
gonna
used
pull
to
out.
cover that. I covered that for a little while.
Really? Who was
Uh,
playing drums at the time?
wow, that's a good question. My friend, my drummer. I feel like you know him. I know that Aaron Steele.
I don't know him, but I know the name. I feel like he's a dude that people know. I just am like, I'm too busy like sitting at home drinking tea to ever meet other people. So,
Actually, I had to like force him to do the.
what do you mean you had to force him?
He didn't really know or like the song, and I was like, and he wanted to just like, I mean, this is a guy like, I love you, Aaron, like, I wouldn't be mad at you or whatever, but like, he used to play, my songs different. You know what I mean? I'd be like, can you play them how they are? But he'd always like to play stuff different. I was like, yeah, but that's like the main hook of that song. That's like the drummer, it's like, you're gonna have a bunch of people doing air drums to the wrong fill, and it's gonna be a shit show.
There,
It's gonna
there's
be,
there's two approaches, like sometimes I think there's two approaches to kind of playing other people's music. And I think that my opinion and the way that I try and approach it always is like the music, there's a vision there. You know what I mean? And now, especially that I've gotten to sit with you guys in the studio, it's not like just some random accidental drum fill that gets put in there. There's like a choice and editing and hours of decision making and a real creative process. So for me to come in and be like, well, that part's cool, but I'm going to do my own thing is totally fine if that's what you're looking for. Sometimes, the
yeah,
idea is let's make this live, let's make it sound different,
yeah,
which is what Stacey Jones, LP's MD, is really great at, kind of like,
yeah.
do your own thing. But, the go-to, I feel, as a musician learning your music or anyone's music is like, how do I bring this recording to a live set? I can't imagine hearing, yeah.
Yeah, I would tell you that in his defense, that was possibly the most uninteresting drum record I had because that was before I was really working with Mike. And even like some songs that one song like Night Like This that I had done with Mike, I remember that song was, I hate to tell this to like fans of mine that love that song, but if you heard the demo of Night Like This, you lose your mind. It was so fresh and so cool. And then Cavallo just kind of basically shat all over it and made it like so like, normal. You know what I mean? Like, but that was like the whole record. It was like I remember when like we first redid the demo that didn't need to be redone. Mike should have just done it. But it was like it's not even the same drum pattern, dude. Like, what makes you like you love this song? You want it to be my first single, and now you're just gonna like decide that like you're gonna put basic bitch drums on it like instead. Like, how dare you? And so like Aaron was like kind of probably at the time I didn't like that, but I could see it from his angle more and more.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like it now. So the three people who, under no circumstances, can they listen to this episode of my wildly successful podcast are Jimmy Fallon, Aaron Steele, and Rob Cavallo. So,
And Rob, I mean, like he's done some cool shit. I mean, he's done a lot of great shit. It was just like, it's just one of those examples of like, hey, you should have let this thing do its thing. It was like a selfish kind of commandeering of a project that like he was not right for, and I would say that to his face at this point. Hi, Rob. You're a Grammy award-winning producer. Congratulations, but you should have not done my record.
but I mean that's true in a lot. I think a lot of style. Look, producers, musicians, singers, any like it's always like someone can kill it and be amazing at their thing, and just not the right person for this specific thing. Like I know drummers who are great. I know keyboards, guitarists who whatever, bass players who are great, and they wouldn't necessarily be right for this gig or that gig. It just
Yeah, I mean,
it's a
there's been like
stylistic choice.
that have like done full records with Rick Rubin and trashed it. You know what I mean? And I've been like scrapped it and gone to a different. You know what I mean? Like, and that guy is like a genius. So it's just like it's just the right or the wrong producer is just so. I think that's why I appreciate Mike so much because I feel like Mike was the secret sauce as far as like getting all the elements of my voice across, in from a production standpoint, and and that was kind of something that was people were having trouble doing sometimes.
Yeah, I remember reading that the Strokes tried to record their second record with Nigel Godrich, who produced all the Radiohead
Yeah,
stuff. And they like
yeah,
straight up, they did like two songs and went back to Gordon Raphael, who I think has only produced the Strokes. Like he's only done that, but
yeah,
he just was so good at helping them realize their sound. So, you know, kind of a
yeah, man.
random.
That's why I don't think you can kind of take like like you take it personally, but I think like the thing that you should take personally is that your ego's in the way of you kind of knowing or realizing or admitting that you're not the right person to get this person's music. But
Yeah.
that's all. Are we going over time limit now? Are you
Oh no,
gonna
no, there's no time limit, but I'm gonna
tell my
now
joke?
that you mention it, let me tell you my joke. So the first episode I told a joke that was about this friend I had growing up. His name was Derek Feldston. His older brother Alan Feldston. That was a whole joke about Alan had this huge shaggy dog named Finney. But this is a joke about Alan's job was he ran this flower shop. So I grew up in Potomac, Maryland, and I went to high school in Rockville, Maryland. And Alan, his job from the time he graduated college was he ran this flower shop called Rockville Flowers. Um, and it always did super well as far as flower shops go. There's got to feel like there's a real ceiling to success when you just own a flower shop, but it always did pretty well. But then I noticed like a number of years ago, so in Rockville, there's like a main drag called Rockville Pike, which is where like the various places we all used to hang out. There was like a spot called the Silver Diner that was open till I don't know if it was open 24 hours because I don't think I would have been there at a time when would have made me aware that it was open 24 hours,
Yeah,
but I know it was always open late. It was like the spot that was like, oh yeah, like after prom or something, we'd go there at like 1 in the morning or something. But there were these two little pockets called Congressional Plaza and Federal Plaza. It's been a while, so I think Federal Plaza there was a Comp USA, which was a computer store back when that was a thing. I have no idea if that still exists. There was like a Seven Seas Szechuan restaurant. There were like a bunch of things. Mama Lucia's pizza restaurant, and then the other one, Congressional Plaza. There was a Tower Records was the big place, a Container Store. There was like a big baby outlet called Bye Bye Baby, and then there was the flower shop. So the flower shop was in Congressional Plaza. Um, so kind of recently, flower shops are not as in high demand. I feel like people order things online, order things off the phone, whatever. So the flower shop, he was still, but he was doing okay. Alan was like doing okay. The flower shop, he now runs it with his girlfriend Yael. So they're doing fine or whatever. Then one day, I want to say this was 3 years ago. So we're talking 2017. These Franciscan monks walk into the flower shop and they're like, we just wanted to let we thought it was kind of the right thing to do that we're opening a flower shop in Federal Plaza. And Alan's like, well, I mean, he feels like he's kind of cut the market corner and there's not that much market to begin with. So he's, why are a couple of monks opening up a flower shop? And they say basically, whatever God beckons us to do, that's what we do. And God has beckoned us to open up this flower shop. So Alan's like, okay. He thinks it's going to be called Holy Flowers. He thinks it's going to last for 2 months, and then they're going to run back to wherever it was that they came from.
And
So
this is true. This is true.
we're in the joke. We can talk. We can talk about what's
Oh,
true and what's not true afterwards.
all right. All right.
It's
Okay.
very confusing, I know. So, so, so the monks have opened their flower shop, Holy Flowers. At first, it's like, who cares? And then Alan all of a sudden notices, like, he's driving by one day and he sees like a line around the block at Holy Flowers. And meanwhile, the business at Rockville Flower Shop has kind of been waning. He's like, what the hell is going on here? And it turns out that these monks kind of figured out, back when I was growing up, there was an indoor soccer place called Corner Kick, and they used to have like all ages punk shows there. It was like,
Nice.
again, we're in Maryland, like, I don't know, it's not that hip, but Maryland, DC, there was a whole bunch of punk music, and there still is. So Corner Kick was like this very hip, all ages punk show thing. So that place closed, and these monks, which doesn't seem very monk like, but they have now opened up in the parking lot in back. They're now doing all ages punk shows, and it's bringing in a ton of business. So Alan is like, what the fuck is going on? They're monks. Why are they even opening a flower shop? And then why are they having all ages punk shows? And he kind of can't believe that essentially his business is being bested by these monks who have no business opening up a flower shop in the first place, but whatever. So things continue that way. And then Alan is basically forced to get creative. He's talking to Yael, his girlfriend. He's like, what the heck do we do? They try calling the city and like having like they must be violating something. Do they have a license for that? Turns out it was completely licensed. They got it all covered. They got the sound license, the live music, whatever they need to. So then Alan's like, okay. We're going to try kind of a similar thing. He starts staying open a little later, and he installs like a milkshake machine or whatever. And he hires, there was a guy who went to my high school who, did you ever see 10 Things I Hate About You with
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
he was kind of like that figure at my high school. He was not Jewish. The only reason that he was at my school, his name was Hugh Palmer, and the only reason he was at my school was because presumably, or like the rumor was, he got kicked out of every other school in town. So he's kind of like a scary dude. When you got to know him, he was actually a sweetheart, but he's seemed scary at least. Um,
Yeah.
so he like still lives in town. Most of my friends and most of Alan's friends, Derek's friends, like we've all kind of left at this point. So he hires Hugh, who knows a thing or two about, because he used to work in at the Silver Diner and also used to work at his dad's restaurant. He's like, I'm going to put Hugh in charge of running this milkshake thing, and hopefully that'll get the kids in. Kind of like it brought some kids in, but I think everyone's just kind of still happy with the Silver Diner, and they're so preoccupied with their now all ages punk shows 2 blocks away. So it's not really working. So then Yael is like, I have an idea. She's like super fine, very attractive woman, a little bit curvy. She's like, I'm going to go in there in something kind of like a little skimpy, and I'm going to tempt these monks, and they're going to be like so afraid that they violated some sort of monk code that again they're going to realize we can't be having punk shows and scandals with women and everything. We're going to close the shop and go back to the monastery. So Alan's like, great idea, sounds good. She comes back an hour later and said they wouldn't even bat an eyelash at me. They were completely professional. I was coming onto them so strong, say all sorts of innuendo. They don't give a shit. They are doing their thing, and they are like wildly successful at it. So Alan's losing sleep. At this point, Rockville Flower Shop is nearing its demise because these monks have so successfully stolen all the business. And Hugh, who has again some sort of like vaguely checkered past and is kind of a scary individual, one day he comes in and he says to Alan, "Do you want me to take care of these monks?" He's like, "What do you mean?" He says, "I don't want to get into specifics, but would you like me to take care of these monks and make sure that their flower shop gets closed?" And Alan thinks about it. He said, "Can I kind of have the night to sleep on this and make sure I'm not going to make some decision I'm going to regret? I'm going to be one of those dudes in the news where it's like, this guy paid an undercover cop to kill his wife, and then they found out like he didn't want something crazy to happen, and then they're going to trace it back to him." He consults with Yael, he sleeps on it, and he decides, the flower shop was his whole life. He took it over from his parents who passed away when he was younger. He's like, I can't, this thing can't close. It can't fail. Like, this is too important to me. So he comes in the next day, and he says to Hugh, "Yeah, please help me." So Hugh leaves, doesn't come back that day. Business as usual as far as Alan can tell. He comes in the next day, and the flower shop, Rockville Flowers, is bustling with people, just like business like he hasn't seen in months. He goes over, and Holy Flowers has a sign on it that says, closed, out of business. The windows are boarded up, everything. The monks are gone, the place is empty. And the moral of the story is only Hugh can prevent florist friars.
Oh, wow. That um that is quite amazing and not for the speech impediment impaired. Um
Uh-huh. I thought about I was like, if I
or
fuck up this
flyers.
punchline, it's all not worth it. That was
That's
it.
some great dinner jokes where everybody's kind of enthralled, and then then the teenage kids get up from the table and are like, I'll never get that part of my life back.
That
I
was
could have
12 minutes I'll never
been
have again.
that
Um,
was very amazing. I enjoyed it. So
Thank you
it made
very
me
much.
feel like this sense of like, family and community, which I feel like, I mean, I have to say that's one of the biggest things I missed about being on tour with you and all the guys and seeing, fans and everything. It's like that community, that sense of family that I get when I'm out there. And it's nice to talk to you online with hopefully some people listening. Hi out there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm sorry my jokes were terrible, and I'm sorry my answers weren't great. I'm dealing with I wasn't feeling great today, but now I feel good.
I'm trying to pep you up with the might of humor. I loved your jokes. I
Yeah.
appreciate you being on my podcast. I appreciate everyone. I can only imagine that millions of people are tuning in. So thank you guys all for listening to Still a Great Joke. And I look forward to seeing you next time. LP, you want to say goodbye real quick before I stop the
uh,
record button?
guys, thank you so much. Bye. Peace out. See ya.
See you all soon.